Welcome to the discussion video on Module 3. So, for this video, we will be discussing strategic cost management. So, after the video, we will be able to identify the value chain relationships that are important to organizations, the costs associated in buying, producing, and carrying inventory, which are uh, strategic cost issues, the push and pull systems in production, the product life cycles, which affects profitability, and how it can be as it becomes a strategic cost issue. Target costing, how does it influence production cost management? The just-in-time costing system and its philosophy, the flexible manufacturing systems, the lean manufacturing systems, and the theory of constraints. We will be able to touch some items like economic order quantity, the order point, safety stock, and the economic production runs. So before we move to the discussion on the issues on strategic cost management, let us first identify kung ano ba itong mga items na dinidiscuss under the strategic cost management. The focus of strategic cost management is majority is on the inventory, because inventory is often a firm's largest investment. Anong mga klaseng inventory ito? These are the merchandise for resale, the manufacturing raw materials, work in process, and finished goods. The firms today should minimize inventory while meeting customers' demand. So anong sinasabi under ano ang issue which should be resolved by strategic management is that how do they minimize inventory while they meet customers' demand, because the goal is you need to minimize the number of inventories because it will affect your carrying costs. Baka wala ka ng place sa iyong warehouse kung saan mo ilalagay ang iyong mga raw material inventory, yung mga finished goods inventory, na bagong yung raw materials before it can be placed to the process, at yung finished goods naman before it can be sold. So, the goal is to minimize the number of inventory dahil naka-stock up doon ang iyong cash or yung liquid assets. However, dapat ma-meet mo yung customer's demands as long as merong projected sales, dapat ay meron kang inventory maipangbebenta doon. So the dilemma lies on the strategic management. So the managing inventory, the goal is to minimize the company's monetary commitment to inventory without negatively impacting product availability. So yun yung dinidiscuss natin kanina. Dapat hindi adversely maapektuhan yung availability, kasi baka mamaya kakatipid mo on carrying cost o inventorying cost, hindi mo naman na ibibigay yung product on your customers. So let's proceed on the concept of a value chain. So from suppliers, kinuha mo yung raw materials, yan ilalagay sa mga production plants, tapos ipaprocess yung raw materials na yon to be processed as finished goods. Yung mga finished goods na yan, ibebenta mo na yan, normally meron ka mga distribution centers or mga stalls, ilalagay mo doon para makita ng customers. So this is the concept of a value chain from supplier up to the customers. So anong sinasabi? The value chain must be improved. So how can we improve? Ang sinasabi lang dito sa discussion, improve communication of requirements and specifications, greater clarity in requests for products, improve feedback, improve in planning, controlling, and problem solving, shared managerial and technical expertise, supervision, and training. So let's go back to the illustration. Ang sinasabi lang dito ay, dapat yung mga raw materials na ibibigay from suppliers to your production plants, dapat yan ay adequately communicated. Kaya sinasabi dito, di ba? Improve communication of requirements and specifications. Hindi pwede yung mga pabalik-balik na raw material requirements dyan. Dapat yung specifications doon, the raw materials, kung yan ay gagamitin for a particular product, dapat yan ay nalinaw or klaro upon the requirements sent to the suppliers before it is given to the production. Now, yung production plants, the relationship to the finished goods naman yan, dapat ay ng properly na-identify sa production kung ilang items ang kailangang i-deliver. Yung scheduling, the logistics function, kung kailan kailangan ng mga distribution centers so that yung requirements and scheduling will be available. Kumbaga, kung kailan kailangan ng customers ay mayroong available sa distribution centers at hindi nangyayari yung walang inventory on your distribution centers. So, is this a strategic cost issue in managerial accounting? Yes. Because ang sinasabi dito, if yung inventory is often a firm's largest investment. Itong mga inventory items na itong bumubuo sa company mo. So, any issue on the scheduling, the requirement dyan, will affect the final delivery of the output to your customer. So, yun ang ina-address dito sa strategic cost management. So, we increase also, aside from improving the value chain, we increase our productivity. We reduce investments in inventory. Bakit kailangang i-reduce ang investments in inventory? Because yung inventory ay kumakain yan ng iyong liquid assets such as cash. You need to improve your cash-to-cash cycle over time. Hindi pwedeng marami kang stock sa iyong warehouse because aside from yun ay nag-involve ng carrying cost sa iyong warehouse, dahil may space yan na naka-allocate for that, ay imbes na magamit for short-term investments yung cash ay ilalagay sa inventory. You have to generate higher asset turnover. Paano ma-generate yung higher asset turnover? Huwag kang masyadong mag-invest on inventory. So, paano mangyayari yun? Na hindi ka mag-invest sa inventory pero kailangan mo kailangan mo ma-meet yung customer's demand as the need arises. It involves a tedious process ng pag-analyze ng schedules, pag-analyze ng inventory management. Ayan, reduces inventory risk. Kapag maraming inventory on the warehouse, there is a risk. Risk of loss, risk of it can be subjected to fire and risk of theft. So maraming risk associated with the inventory. So yan ang sinasabing increased productivity. You manage at the minimum your inventory and then but still you look at how the customer's demands are addressed. So let us take a look at the production systems. Ang sinasabi, merong two classifications of the production systems. It can either be the push or the pull production system. So it is a strategic cost issue. So tinitingnan kung anong systems ang nararapat on a particular nature or industry where the company belongs. Under the push system, you produce in anticipation of customer orders. So tingnan mo yung illustration dito, the raw material purchases pinupush sa storage. Tapos kapag kailangan kukunin ng work center, then si work center ipupush niya sa work in process storage. So kapag kailangan kukunin ng work center, ipupush niya naman sa work in process storage. So kapag kailangan kukunin ng work center, ipupush niya sa finished goods storage until it is pushed to a customer. So, ang sinasabi dyan, you produce in anticipation of a customer order. Ang iniiwasan dito is that yung merong bumibili sa'yo pero wala kang maibenta. So, the availability. But this process is very costly dahil you need to maintain a sizable amount of a warehouse or a storage facility para ma-store mo itong mga raw materials, mga work in process inventories mo. Ano naman sinasabi under the pull systems? Ang sinasabi under the pull system ay you produce as you need. So, mayroon ka lang minimal storage. So, ina-address niya yung costly production, yung costly storage cost na meron sa push system. So, ang sinasabi dito, yung kulay brown na arrow is the push, is the pull. Kumbaga, nagre-request ng finished goods, nagre-request ng work in process, yan ang pull, hinihila. Kumbaga, yung product sales dictate the total production. Hinihila ng product sales yung production para siya ay mag-produce na because there is an existing production. So, yaan ang the dilemma lies on the strategic cost managers kung ano ba ang gagamitin nating system. Is this the push production system na ginagamitan ng pag-push sa mga storage para merong available, or this yung pull system, kasi ang dilemma naman sa pull systems ay dapat very efficient ang yung scheduling and coordination yung communication requirements mo dyan, dahil kapag nagkaroon ng problema dyan, hindi mo ma-deliver on time yung output sa iyong customers. So let's look at a brief glimpse on how the product life cycle goes. So it starts with the development. Normally, yung mga research and development costs are expense as incurred in financial accounting. These costs represents 80 to 90% of the total product life cycle cost, kasi dito na dinidetermine kung alin yung maraming research and development, maraming trial and errors na ginagawa under the development stage. The introduction stage, dito na pinapakilala the market research, advertising, and promotion of a product. So normally, yung sales price are similar for substitute goods, yung mga nasa market. Normally ay halos kaparehas or mas mababa yung price na ino-offer sa market compared to the competitor. Sales mo dito mababa pa because you are just introducing the product. Kumbaga, tinitingnan pa lang yung ini-establish mo pa lang ang existence ng yung product into the market. On growth, you increase your sales, quality may improve, and prices are stable. On maturity, the sales stabilize or decline slowly. Firms compete on selling price cost at lowest level because normally yung mga development cost mo dyan ay na kumbaga na-recoup mo na yung kung ano mang cost ang na-incur mo on the development stage. However, yung sales ay unti-unti na rin nagde-decline because dito na papasok yung nasa-saturate mo na kasi yung mga market. Firms compete on the selling price, so merong mga nag-arise ng mga na other competitors which are looking at competing at your product because nakita nila yung pag-mature niya on the product life cycle. Ibig sabihin, at once you reach this maturity stage kasi ay na-establish mo na at maganda na ang market share mo. Then, the decline, waning sales, dramatic price cuts, so bumababa na ang sales mo at this time. Cost per unit increases as fixed costs are spread over fewer units. So, konti na lang kasi ang napoproduce at this moment dahil pababa na ang sales mo. So, tumataas na rin ang per unit ng product. Okay, let's proceed with target costing. So, anong sinasabi under the target costing? This is one strategic cost management concept. Normally, ito ay dinidiscuss. This is a conceptual question in the CPA board exam. So, ang sinasabi under target costing, it will be best analyzed kung ito i-compare with traditional approach. Under the traditional approach, tingnan mo yung steps. Una, i-design mo muna yung product. Kung anong gusto mong product, i-design mo kung ano ang itsura niya and how it can be done in the production run. Then, once na-design mo, you assign cost for that product. Kaya nagko-compute ka ng cost. Kapag nakapag-compute ka ng cost, normally, magma-mark up ka dyan. Then, magma-mark up ka kung magkano ang gusto mong mark up on that product based on cost. So, cost plus the markup. You set your sales price. Then, after you set your sales price, dyan mo na ma-identify kung magkakaroon ka ba ng profit or loss eventually. So, normally, ang costing ay nangyayari after the product design under the traditional approach. Under the traditional, the target costing, which is a strategic cost management issue, ay tinutwik niya yung process. Ang sinasabi dito, first, you set your sales price. Halimbawa, meron kang gustong gawing product, iset mo yung sales price niya. So, yung sales price na yan ay i-compare mo normally sa mga competitor mo. So, once you set your sales price, the competitor and the prevailing market price, you set now the profit that you want to generate out of the sales price. Then, once you target your profit, next, you target your cost. Based on the profit that you want to get, assuming the sales price, you compute the target cost based on that assumptions. Then, pag na-generate mo ang yung target cost, you design the product based on the cost. So, ibig sabihin, i-identify mo muna kung magkano dapat ang presyo ng product na yon, then, tsaka ka mag-design. So, dito sa design product na, itong product design na tinutukoy dito, i-identify mo na dito kung anong mga inputs, yung mga raw materials na gagamitin mo to make your product cheaper but not affecting the quality. So, ang sinasabi under target costing, that the cost is targeted, or it is that the cost is computed before the product design. So it is a strategic cost issue because normally uh, uh, nag-e-evolve yung ganitong klaseng approach on costing on various organizations in the field. So anong implications niyan? If the target cost is too high, diba, sobrang taas ng target cost na naka-indicate dyan, there are options. You can, once you analyze the target cost, you can change the product design and production process. And sinasabi ko dito kanina, you can look at alternative inputs, processes, or specifications. Baka tingnan mo kung baka mayroong mga process na pwedeng i-eliminate or mga inputs na pwedeng gamitan ng substitute or alternatives but not sacrificing quality. Next, pwede ka ring mag-accept ng less than desired profit margin. Kung dati ay ang profit margin na gusto mo ay at 20%, baka pwedeng 18% or 15% na lang. Or worse, based on the target costing approach, you assess that you will not enter the market. So, ibig sabihin, this is a strategic cost issue. Top management ang nagde-decide whether or not you will enter a specific industry or market or not. So, yan ang target costing implications. Maybe I will be ending the discussion on this. On the second part of the video, you will be seeing more of strategic cost management issues. Thank you.